Aryna Sabalenka, that's her name. I'm bringing her up because even though she was the #1 player in the world, I don't think she should be that way now, not after this loss. It should be you. But I'm asking, what is her problem? I mean, somebody got to ask this question. She came across as a very sore loser after she lost to you.
StephenASmith isn't known for pulling punches. And this time, his target was Aryna Sabalenka. After Coco Gauff's thrilling French Open comeback, Sabalenka didn't just lose the match. She lost her composure, and now Stephen A. has called her out for showing zero class after being defeated by a 21-year-old who handled herself like a pro. Question: was Sabalenka simply emotional or just plain disrespectful?
What is up with her, and how much of a motivation was it that you were going up against her as opposed to just being in a title match?
Yeah, honestly, I wanted to play the best player in the world, and with the results and the rankings, she proved that she's the best player in the world. And obviously, maybe it might be different after yesterday, but yeah, I think for me, I wanted that matchup. I didn't want an excuse, especially I feel like people always try to make excuses as to why I win. So I was like, I want to play and give people, like, I played the best player in the world and I can beat her. And I did it in US Open. She was ranked #2, finished that #1. And yeah, the comments yesterday, or after the match.
It was windy. She blamed the wind.
Those comments I was a little bit surprised by them. But like at the end of the day, I mean, what happened. I won because I earned that win. And we both had to play in the win. We both had to deal with those conditions. I didn't feel great on the court at all. I went down 4-1. I thought I was playing the worst tennis of the tournament. But I think the difference was I was able to recognize that and find a different way to try to win that match.
Coco Gauff's latest win wasn't just another tennis highlight. It was a reminder of why she's the future of the sport. She was down 4-1 against the world's #1 player and somehow flipped the match into a statement victory. By the end, she wasn't only lifting the trophy, she was making history as the first American woman to win the French Open since Aryna.
Yeah, honestly, guys, this one hurts so much, especially after such a tough 2 weeks playing great tennis and in these terrible conditions, show such terrible tennis in the final. That's really hurt, but it's okay. Anyway, Coco, congrats in these tough conditions. You were a better player than me.
But instead of praising the young champion, Aryna Sabalenka's post-match remarks left fans shaking their heads. She blamed the conditions, talked about the wind, even mentioned being too emotional. Anything but admitting that Coco outplayed her.
Do you think there was a momentum shift in the first set because you started the match really well? You led 4-1. What happened at 4-1? Do you think that Coco got better or the conditions got tougher?
Yeah, I think it was more windy and got more windy, and also I think I was over emotional, and I think today I didn't really handle myself quite well mentally, I would say. So basically that's.
It came off as pure excuse-making. Tennis fans know that both players face the same wind, the same surface and the same pressure. The only real difference is how you deal with it. And Coco dealt with it like a veteran, composed, steady, and confident. Sabalenka, meanwhile, sounded like someone trying to protect her pride rather than face the fact that she got beaten fair and square.
I think today I didn't really handle myself quite well mentally, I would say. So basically that's it. I was just making unforced errors. Like, I don't know, I have to check the statistics. I think she won the match not because she played incredible, just because I made all of those mistakes from, like, if you look from the outside, kind of like from an easy balls.
That's exactly the kind of thing that gets under Stephen A.'s skin. During his post-match reaction, he practically tore Sabalenka apart for refusing to give credit where it was due. He pointed out how ridiculous it sounded for the #1 player in the world to blame weather instead of skill. His reaction struck a chord because it echoed what fans were already thinking. Sabalenka's words made her look less like a champion and more like someone allergic to accountability. And when you've built your brand on being the best, that's a bad look. Coco's performance, on the other hand, couldn't have been more different. She stayed calm, took a break between sets to regroup, and came back playing smarter tennis. That adjustment, finding new ways to win when things aren't going your way, is exactly what separates champions from everyone else. Stephen A. highlighted that difference clearly. One player complained, the other adapted. One blamed the environment, the other took control of it. The contrast couldn't have been more obvious. To make it even worse, this isn't the first time Sabalenka has struggled to handle losing to Gauff. Their rivalry goes back to 2023 when Coco beat her in the US Open final. Back then, Sabalenka at least handled defeat with some grace. She congratulated Coco, smiled for cameras, and seemed to move on. But now, in 2025, after losing again on one of the biggest stages in the world, that professionalism disappeared. It's almost as if the frustration finally boiled over. She couldn't stand the fact that this young player, someone 10 years younger, had her number twice on the biggest stage. Stephen A. hammered that point home, calling her reaction embarrassing for someone who calls herself the best. When you're number one, you set the tone for the sport. You're supposed to show composure, not excuses. And here's where it gets interesting. Coco Gauff didn't even bite back. She could have clapped back publicly or thrown shade online, but she didn't. Instead, she took the high road, simply acknowledging that both players faced the same conditions and that she earned her win. That's the kind of quiet confidence that drives opponents crazy, and it's probably what made Sabalina's loss sting even more.
She's probably emotional about it, so I'm not going to take it with too much anything. And I do hope people give her a little bit of slack.
Fans instantly noticed the contrast. Coco handled victory with class. Sabalenka handled defeat with bitterness. That's all it took for the internet to explode with reactions calling Sabalenka a sore loser and praising Coco for her maturity. Sports media outlets jumped in too. Some called Sabalenka's words tone-deaf. Others said she disrespected not only Coco but also the game itself. The whole situation turned what should have been a great final into an awkward reminder that not every star knows how to lose gracefully. And that's when Stephen A. took things further. He started comparing the situation to legends like Serena Williams, someone who faced much harsher conditions, louder critics, and far higher stakes, yet never tried to discredit her opponents. Serena could lose and still command respect. Sabalenka, on the other hand, sounded like someone who needed an excuse to feel better about herself. That's where the sarcasm came in. Stephen A. basically implied that blaming the wind was the weakest defense he'd ever heard from a professional athlete. He said, if the wind was really that big of an issue, maybe Sabalenka should have asked for a roof instead of a racket. The moment went viral because it summed up exactly how fans felt. Tired of overpaid athletes acting like the laws of physics only affect them. Everyone deals with the same wind, the same bounce, the same tension. Coco just did it better. By this point, Sabalenka's PR team probably wished she'd never opened her mouth. Within hours, clips of her press conference were everywhere, side by side with Coco's calm and thoughtful interview. The difference was almost comical. One sounded whiny and defensive, the other confident and grounded. It's one thing to lose a match. It's another to lose the respect of fans and peers in the same breath. When reporters asked other players about it, a few politely said they understood emotions, but their tone said it all. No one was defending her because everyone's been there, but not everyone throws blame around after losing. Even tennis legends weighed in, saying that Coco showed the kind of focus and maturity that defines great champions. While Sabalenka's reaction showed she still has a lot to learn. And that's really what Stephen A. was hammering home. Not just that Sabalenka lost, but that she lost badly. Not on the scoreboard, but in how she handled herself afterward. He made it clear that moments like these define how fans remember you. People forget scores, but they remember attitudes. Serena, Federer, Nadal, they built legacies not only through wins, but through grace and defeat. Sabalenka, on the other hand, looked like someone who couldn't handle sharing the spotlight. The funny thing is, Sabalenka later tried to explain herself in another interview, saying she'd spoken out of frustration and didn't mean to downplay Coco's performance, but the damage was already done. Once the public decides you sound salty, there's no walking that back. Coco, meanwhile, handled it perfectly. She said she understood that emotions run high, but made it clear she earned that win. That subtle mix of empathy and quiet confidence, that's what made people fall in love with her even more. By the time the dust settled, one thing was obvious. Coco's maturity made Sabalenka's reaction look even worse. StephenAS summed up what everyone else was thinking. Coco didn't just beat Sabalenka on the court. She beat her in composure, in class, and in how she represented herself afterward. The reaction online was wild. Sports fans who usually never agree on anything suddenly united over one thing, that Aryna Sabalenka had crossed a line. People were saying that blaming the wind and downplaying Coco's performance made her sound like a player who couldn't accept reality. Some even joked that maybe the wind was ranked #1 now since it apparently beat her too. 4 days, her comments were everywhere. Memes, tweets, and short clips flooded timelines. And while Sabalenka was getting dragged, Coco was getting love from all corners of the sports world. Everyone admired how she stayed calm, never threw shade back, and just kept letting her tennis talk. That's what made StephenASmith's take even more powerful. He saw what was happening and decided it was time for someone to say out loud what fans had been saying online. His point wasn't just about this one match. It was about a pattern. When athletes lose, especially at the top level, people expect professionalism. Blaming outside factors like the wind or luck just sounds desperate. It takes away from the sport. And when you're supposed to be the best in the world, that kind of behavior is even harder to excuse. Sabalenka's reaction might have been emotional,